Hello, hello. Sorry, I was gonna stream at least like 30 minutes earlier and then I got distracted by my mom. So, a little later than I wanted, but it's okay. We're playing this again. I think next time I play this, I will take a break from it. It's getting heavier and it's getting more confusing, so I will just try my best. Oh, let me lower the volume a bit. There you go. I have to work again for the next 3 days. I will probably try to stream at night like usual after that, but I have like a shift until 8 p.m. so I don't know. It's gonna be very late stream, for me at least, and probably for anyone else who wants to watch. I will think about what games to play. It's probably gonna be short like demos of visual novels that I have saved up. That way I don't spend an hour on a game and then I'm too invested, then it turns into 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, let's get started. Oh, wait, I just remembered. So out of curiosity, I opened the game earlier and I just was thinking about it. Wait, did I click yes? Hold on. Nope. Because I wanted to show you what I did. I think it auto-saved what I did. You got a sneak peek of what happened. Because I was thinking about it. And so, like, you know how, like, there's, like, a branching path here for Liwen? There's a branching path here for Alicia. And then I was like, what could that be? So I tried doing it just for, you know, for fun's sake and to save time. Because it takes a while for me to get through all of the, like, tries. But let me show you what I did. So there's actually another rank S ending for Alicia. If you have her grab... Wait, is this correct? I think it's correct. You have her grab the sleeping pills. Yeah, I grabbed the bottle closer to my left hand, the sleeping pills. And so it actually gives her a different ending from this one, from the other one, where she grabs the poison. I don't think I need to read this, it's basically the same stuff. So in this case, she does manage to get the pills, but it's the sleeping pills instead. And then you actually unlock, if I open this, a different ending. And it locks a lot of the other ones here, which is interesting to me. So I feel like it's a dead end for Alicia, but we're gonna find out what it is at least. I picked a random bottle from hundreds of bottles of fine wine. Oh wait. I don't think I'm gonna read through this. Because it's her trying to get the guy to sleep. And the other one, she tried to poison him because she got the poison pills. And then, blah blah blah. And then... So this one, the one-armed man raised the bottle to his nose, sniffed, poured the wine out, knocked over the glass. He grabbed the old man towards himself by the collar. The one-armed man wiped his nose on Money Gia's collar. You pathetic little prick, you dare to try to drug me with sleeping pills? Money Gia was shot in the face by the one-armed man before he could utter a word, which is different from what happened last time. As soon as the boss was dead, Gia's bodyguards immediately dropped their weapons and surrendered. All of the other servants and maids, including me, were running towards the nearest exits in a panic. Everyone wanted to get out of there as soon as they could. People were screaming, running into and falling over each other. It was total chaos. However, they didn't intend to let anyone leave here alive. I felt a sharp pain in my leg when I was the only one to turn away. When I was the only one turned away from the back door. Oops. I fell to the floor. Blood was oozing out of the wound to my ankle. Hold on. My dog is pacing around the room again. No fireworks this time, I think, although I heard some earlier. I felt the cold barrel of a gun pushing against my forehead. I knew that if I moved even a little, another hole would appear there. Wait. The one-armed man walked over the body of the housekeeper and stopped in front of me. He pushed his man's gun away from my head. This one is pretty. Send it to the auction house. I thought that it had been the Lord's blessing that had allowed me to survive. I thought that I had been at least more fortunate than the ones who had died. Never would I have imagined that soon I would be sold to a freak show circus in Southeast Asia. I would have my arms and legs cut off. I would be hung in a cage like a stick and fed by people like an animal. That's so fucked up. Just for exhibition. Heavenly Father, why wouldn't you save me? Well, I'll do my best. Alright, let's see. Maybe this one? I don't know. Blah blah blah. He stuffed the bottle inside a Money G's mouth and forced the wine down his throat. The liquid that overflowed from his mouth turned his shirt to the same bright red color. It was her. She did it. She raised his trembling arm and pointed at me. I turned around and ran, but I couldn't outrun the bullet. Oh, blood was oozing out of the center of my forehead, turning the white velvet carpet to a bright red color. But unlike the wine, it was a bewitching kind of red. Carlos, I miss you so much. Man, I think that's a better fate than the other one, though. Just dying instead of being tortured like that. Nope. That was the original one, so... No. No? Wait. Oh, it is a dead end! Wow, would you look at that? That's interesting. Okay, well that was just a curiosity thing, but now we know that there's a dead end here. So we'll pick this other ending. Whoops. Because it's the only one that leads us to the continuation. So I had her pick the poison. I think that was by accident actually, but yeah, there's actually a diverging path there. There was one other thing. I took a screenshot just to remind myself. There's one thing with the cat, I remember. There's like a different S ending. I think it's here. Yeah. So it was this one and this one, and then leave that there. But then it doesn't equal a S ending for him, so. And so the soap was randomly in the story, but yeah. It says the ground was so slippery. Wait, that wasn't the one. Whoops. Oops. I forgot one. It was this one. I guess I found all the endings though. Step on the soap, and then they crash, but they don't die. Blah blah blah. Basically the same thing. But it's interesting because this is now rank B. But it doesn't really matter. Because nothing happens. Isn't that strange? There's two S endings, but it doesn't really matter. Hold on, I'm curious now. If I pick the other one, there's only one option here, which is a B ending. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll just keep it the other one just because they bond a little bit. This one. Boop. Okay. So yeah, there's that one. And there was one more. Oh, it was Jangun Gyeongmin's. Oh wait, actually, there's a third one there I didn't get, but I found it. Hold on. It's not an S ending, but it's the soap. Wait, no. He reached out a piece of soap. It's not an S ending, but it's funny. Lieutenant Kang took out a hairband and tied his messy hair together. I noticed two small dot-shaped scars on his left shoulder. It was almost like he had been bitten by a vampire. Whoops. I suddenly shuddered for no reason. That was so strange. There was nothing extraordinary about the scars. Why did I have such a strong reaction? Could it be? I kept thinking about this on my way home. That you're gay? I continued thinking about it in my bed. I still couldn't figure out the reason until I fell asleep. Can you tell me the reason? Because you're attracted to him? Is that why? Anyways, yeah, that was not the right answer, but I just thought it was funny. Let's go fix this. Whoops. This one. Nope. This one. There you go. I think that was all the ones I found so far, so we'll just keep continuing with the letters. Hold on. There you go. Okay. S. Where did we leave off on? This is still grayed out, so I can't do anything about it. Oh, Spotty has a new one. And so does Jimmy! Let's check on Jimmy. Oh yeah, last time we finished Lee Wen's story. I have very mixed feelings about it. There's actually more letters for Wen Xiaoren, so we'll see those later maybe. The final battle. I had been toyed with by an infamous and psychopathic serial killer. Yet somehow I was still able to live to tell the tale. It was probably the greatest achievement of my entire life now and forever. I had hoped that I could just file a police report and get back to my normal life, but I was too naive. The police sent an officer to investigate my claims, and he asked me to accompany him, but the investigation turned out to be very dispiriting. The heavy rain and landslides overnight had washed away all of the evidence from where Pai and I had first met. The warehouse that had been used to imprison me belonged to a key factory that had gone bankrupt a long time ago. No useful clues remained in the warehouse except for my own fingerprints. The gate to Apple Manor was locked. According to the official records, the owner had gone abroad a few years ago. We were not allowed to enter without a warrant. Oh. But when I was in the bathroom of the police station, I overheard something that depressed me even more. About that young unemployed man. He said he was unwilling to tell his family about the case. Don't you think that's a little suspicious? Exactly. What he told us was so outlandish. Pai is a serial killer who can easily take out a professional boxer. Why would he possibly let such an otaku escape? There's more. He said that he heard the voice of Pai and that it sounded like, what was it exactly? Oh right, a vampire. What a hoot. Maybe he's a junkie, who knows. So many young people these days just don't want to get a real job. They live off of their rich family and just mess around with drugs. You should look into him instead, I think. What about his case then? Just tell him we'll keep investigating. You know, the usual nonsense. In any case, don't bother with it too much. We're not in charge of Pai's case anyway. I don't want to waste my time on this. I sat in the toilet, totally stunned. I thought that as long as I told everything to police, they would surely be able to follow the leads and capture Pai. I thought that they would at least be able to protect me. But now I had nothing but contempt for these useless police. Nothing but contempt. And even more contempt. Fine, if you don't believe me, I'll prove it myself. That's dangerous, bro. I hacked into the surveillance system of Apple Manor. There was indeed not a living soul in the manor. Everything had been meticulously cleaned up by Pai. When I was about to exit the system and clean up any traces of my invasion, I accidentally noticed a video file named after me in the storage system. Downloading. Playing. I thought it would be a video about me, but it was just a short video that lasted only for a few seconds. I will find— oh, that's creepy. No! I let out a scream and dropped my favorite Sir Spotty mug. It was smashed into pieces. What was worse was that the video reminded me of the time that Pai kidnapped me from home while I was asleep. I was basically a pathetic lamb waiting to be slaughtered if I just stayed at home like this. Should I call the police? Well, they didn't help. Don't be silly. They would never take me seriously until I became a dead body. Should I leave Hong Kong? But then it would be like the time when I left Beijing all over again. Perhaps I had to admit to myself that I was a complete and utter loser. In my senior year, I'd had a huge crush on a lovely girl. I had stalked her, taken photos in secret, and written her anonymous letters. Yeah, I didn't forget about that. I never had the courage to simply tell her how I felt face to face. Then the photos I took were exposed online, causing her tons of trouble. I remember the day when those photos had been posted. 2 boys from the lower grade were harassing her. I gathered all of my courage and went up to stop them, thinking that I would teach them a lesson. As it turned out, I was the one who was then dragged into the bike parking area and beaten up. That was probably the bravest thing I'd ever done in my entire life. I had always been weak and useless. I wasn't able to help her win a tennis match. I couldn't appreciate an art exhibition. I didn't protect her when she was taken away by bad people. I didn't take her to the hospital when she was ill and passed out. I couldn't even teach some punk kids from the lower grade a lesson. How would it even be possible for her to like someone like me? Eventually, I gave up on telling her how I felt. Instead, I ran back to Hong Kong after graduation. I also declined all of the jobs that Father had found for me. It wasn't that I didn't like those jobs. I was just worried if I screwed up, Father would know about it and I would get scolded by him. But then I never really went out looking for jobs myself either. Eventually, I became a pathetic otaku. To be honest, it's like my dream. I just want to be a little shut-in and ignore the world. But clearly, it sucks. I was still good at playing video games, but the only reason was that in the game, I would never have to deal with any real responsibilities, win or lose. I had been running away for my entire life. Where could I even run away to this time? Did I really want to hide in the digital world again? I stared at Pi's striped message, completely focused. For 5 hours, from noon until sunset. For 5 hours? I finally made up my mind. I took a deep breath and dropped the rope pulley on the floor. A few minutes later, I had recorded a video of myself too with my own message. Come at me, bastard. Let's go, Jimmy. Uploading. For the next 3 days, I collected everything I could find about Pi on the internet, from rumors in random forums to the internal active archives of the Hong Kong Police Department Criminal Division. Like a detective on a TV show, I had written down all of the tips on post-it notes. I then pinned them up on a board and connected the clues with threads. The common characteristics shared among Pi's chosen targets. Sadistic, male, some kind of abnormal perversion. Pi's own traits. Only used in knives, preferred to strike at places that the victims frequented, such as their own homes and workplaces, so that it could be quickly discovered and serve as some sort of warning. Preferred to strike during unusual hours of the day. If there wasn't a suitable time window, or if the window was too short, he would strike at another location and transport the body to his preferred location later. Depending on the sins or fetishes of the victims, Pi would always perform some ritual either before or after the attack. To inflict maximum suffering upon the victim, it was typically done before. Afterwards, he would always thoroughly clean up the crime scene. Finally, he would always leave his own trademark, a smiley face. Pi must have been a patient, meticulous, and intelligent person. Now that I had holed myself up at home, he must have been getting ready to come and get me. I had to be even more prepared and ready for when he eventually did. I decided to never set one foot out of my door again and relied solely on home deliveries. Whenever the food was delivered, I would tell the delivery guy to leave the food at the door. I would only open the door when I could make sure that nobody was outside, and I would leave my bags of trash out when I brought in my food. I had heard some ladies yelling about me leaving the garbage out in the hallway, but I had no other choice. If I went downstairs and dumped my garbage, Pi would be sure to find an opportunity to kill me. If I didn't throw the garbage away, and if Pi didn't show up for 6 months, I would probably be crushed by my own trash before he killed me. It was a matter of life and death. I didn't want to be remembered as the first person in Hong Kong ever to be killed by his own garbage. Okay, Jimmy. Of course, I had also installed a full homemade alarm system in my home, and I never went to bed without a knife and pepper spray in my hands. This had been my life for 2 months. 2 months? Hold on, water break. Okay. It was a Tuesday. As usual, I had called for my delivery and I was watching anime on my computer as I waited for dinner. The bell to my apartment rang. The delivery guy showed up in the monitor. Come on up, just leave the bag at the door. My adrenaline level had risen to the highest it had ever been. For the last 2 months, I had only ever ordered deliveries from Pizza Hut. The closest one to my place had a total of 28 employees, 7 of whom would be out doing the deliveries. Lefty, Nima, Uncle Kwan, Terry, Sunny, plus 2 cooks who occasionally did the legwork too, Sister Wang and Brother Feng. I remembered everything about them. I could even tell the distance between the mole on Sister Wang's face and the corner of her mouth in millimeters. It's kind of creepy. This delivery guy downstairs had a mole at the corner of his left eye and incredibly pale skin. He was obviously not one of those 7 people. Meanwhile, Pizza Hut hadn't hired a new employee for 2 whole years, as business hadn't been going too well for them. Moreover, the manager, Old Lou, had always hated good-looking young men. He would never have hired some new guy like this. I logged into the surveillance system and ran some programs. My PDA screen immediately started showing a video from a hidden camera. On the screen, I got up from my computer and walked into the bathroom. The screen then switched to the view inside the bathroom. I started to undress, stepped into the bathtub, and closed the shower curtain. Wait, what? The screen switched to the view inside the bathroom, and then the screen switched again to what was behind the shower curtain. A naked me turned on the shower. Outside of the screen, though, I was still sitting in front of my computer. Based on the games Pi had played with me, I was confident that Pi must be a competent hacker himself. Chances were that he was holding a PDA right now. What's a PDA? And looking at the exact same video while he was coming up the stairs. I grabbed the knife and the pepper spray. I walked into the bathroom. I turned on the shower. I closed the shower curtain. And I turned to the laundry basket sitting in the corner. I bought it especially for today. It was an extra large one, large enough to hide an entire person. Suddenly, I felt like I had forgotten something important. I opened the lid. Shit, not now. I would always carelessly throw my dirty clothes into the basket every time I changed out of them, telling myself that I would do the laundry next time. But I had forgotten that after 2 months of never actually doing the laundry, the basket was now full. Crap. If I pulled out the dirty clothes and dumped them on the floor, Pi would be sure to notice that something was suspicious. Well, Rocky used to always mock me about this. Now I was paying for it. Time kept ticking ahead. What are you wearing? What have you been wearing for 2 months if you have a whole pile of a basket of dirty laundry, Jimmy? Right at this moment, Pi was probably already standing at my door and getting out his key to unlock the door. What should I do? Was there anything else in the bathroom that I could hide inside? The toilet? How on earth could I hide inside that? All of a sudden, the bathroom door was slowly pushed open. Oh dear. It was Pi standing at the doorway carrying a pizza box looking right at me. He tipped the pizza hat that was on his head and smiled at me like a true gentleman. Long time no see. I panicked and I even forgot that I have a night knife in my hand. I just nervously raised the pepper spray like an idiot. But Pi was faster. He pulled out a can of God knows what and immediately sprayed it all over my face. How could this have happened? I had planned so carefully, waited for so long, and I still ended up like this. Was it my fate to die at his hands? Oh no, when my consciousness had finally returned to this world, Pi was standing right in front of me. This time there was no costume, no mask, no voice modulator. You must have thought that I would just kill you in your home and finish it all, right? Well, to be honest, the games that we played together were really enjoyable, so it would be a shame to just kill you off like that. In return, I have made some special arrangements just for you this time. An even more spectacular arcade. He gestured behind him. It wasn't a very large room, but I could see all kinds of horrifying tools and devices everywhere. Oh dear. This time the game would be played on Nightmare level. Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy. Oh, the cat. For a homeless cat, fresh water is one of the biggest challenges we have to face. The puddles on the road are out of question. They are too dirty. The water in the fish tanks at the seafood store isn't bad, but if the owner catches me, he chases me off. Aside from those, there is another good option. The water inside something that humans call a toilet. Oh dear. The water there has a slow and steady flow which always produces the best quality. Every homeless cat has their own favorite drinking spot, so did I. There was a big building not too far away from the street. Most humans going in and out of the building wore uniforms. Some of them would even salute one another. Speaking of which, why do humans poke themselves in the eyes with their fingers to show their respect? On the south side of the building, on the first floor, there was a small window that was always open. I often sneaked into the building through it, and there was a toilet behind that window. If I crawled under the door opposite the toilet, I could see even more toilets. These two-legged monkeys spent so much effort just so that they could take a dump. What a waste. Tonight, I jumped through the window on the first floor as usual. It was very quiet in the bathroom. I could see the moon through the window, which filled the room with a silver moonlight. I stood up on the rim of the toilet and drank. I tumbled into the toilet, then the toilet lid dropped with a bang. I jumped upwards, another bang. My head hit on the lid, but it didn't open. Have I become too old to stand still now? Somebody help me! Meow meow! It was pitch black in the toilet. I pushed my paw through the gap under the lid and wiggled, hoping desperately that someone would see it and help me. But all I could hear was myself and some flies buzzing in the bathroom. Had the humans all go home after work? I struggled for a while until I was totally exhausted. The room quieted down. I thought of the house cats that I despised. If one of them had fallen into the toilet in his own house, his humans would have gotten them out by now for sure. And then he would take a nice bath and be wrapped up in a warm blanket. Maybe his humans would even play some music and sing for him. I began humming to myself without even realizing it, before shutting myself up when I heard how off-key I was. Spotty, no! Geek in the shell. Wait, I want to see. I completed Jimmy's profile. His favorite game is Will, A Wonderful World. Blah blah blah. Wait, hold on. At 18, transferred from Hong Kong to Yena High School in his senior year. Bullied at school, transferred to Hong Kong after the family sued the school. Damn. Unverified rumors about molesting boys in the street were published in gossip magazines. Jeez. Let's see. Murdered soon afterwards. No! We'll change that. Alright. My dog is so restless. I don't know what to do about him. Because nothing is happening. Do you want to sit on my lap? Hold on. Come here. Come here. Okay, here he is. Let me just get him comfy. Okay. Okay, let's start. Oh, perfect. We're gonna put him in the toilet. I feel like that's the only option. I wasn't sure if it was me getting older or that I had become easily scared. Oh no, I was so startled that I leapt into the air when I heard someone come in. Apparently the person, who was on his phone when he came in, was also so startled by me that he dropped his phone. What the hell? Why is there a damn cat in here? He picked up his phone and grabbed me by the back of my neck. He threw me out of the window. Fucking bitch. What? Why would you do that? I thought that I would land on some grass. What I didn't expect was that a giant human-made metal machine had been parked outside the window. One of my front paws hit the machine so hard that it almost got broken. Damn it! If I were younger, I would have scored a perfect landing easily. I massaged my paw and was getting ready to leave. That was when I saw Blackie, whom I hadn't seen for a long time. He seemed to have matured a lot and wasn't as intimidating as I once remembered. He said he no longer cared about whether humans preferred dogs or cats. Survival was all that mattered to him. He also told me that his old turf, the pipe, and the empty lot had been taken over by a stinky cat named Gigi. Gigi was a glutton. He would always make the other cats bring him food. They were not even allowed into the lot unless they brought him some tribute. Now the lot always smelled like dead rats. Ew. Because of this, the humans living nearby had called people from a homeless animal shelter, and they had taken away many homeless cats. You should be careful. Before he could finish his sentence, Blackie was trapped inside a net. No, Blackie! I saw two humans in uniforms holding a bag in a trap net. One was fat and the other was very thin. They were standing only a meter away from me. I had to temporarily forget about the pain in my paw and climb up a nearby tree as fast as I catly could. I then jumped onto the edge of a roof. Fortunately, I was able to get away. Farewell, Blackie. Damn. Something incredible. Oh, I'm concerned. Something incredible and weird happened. In a panic, I put one foot into the toilet, but it somehow sucked my entire body inside. A huge noise immediately followed, and I could see nothing but darkness. From a scientific point of view, this was absolutely ridiculous and impossible, yet there was no other reasonable explanation. My body had just shrunk. My back was against the cool, slippery, arch-shaped ceramic wall. It was also sticking to the wall because of some smelly and muddy stuff. That's gross. Before my brain could get a chance to process all of this, I was slipping down faster and faster, and then splash! I felt as if I had just fallen from the sky into an ocean. My mouth and nose were submerged in a foul-smelling why is it foul-smelling? In an instant. It didn't matter too much where I was at this point, because I couldn't swim. How could this have happened? I had planned so carefully, waited for so long, and yet I still ended up like this. Bitch, what the fuck? Okay. There's actually more endings than that, but... Okay, jump up. Let's see. A man pushed open the door and walked in while on his phone. He saw me standing on the toilet, did a double take, and walked into the next stall. He was still on his phone while doing his business. Keep a close eye on it for the next couple of days, if call me immediately. I was about to drink some more when I heard a loud engine booming outside the window. It was the kind of sound that could only be produced by one of those human-made machines. Even the window of the bathroom began shaking because of the noise. After a few seconds, the open window pane was shaken shut. Oh no! But I was a lucky spotty. The man had just finished his business. He was walking out, still holding the phone. I surely followed him and left the bathroom. Happy for you. Okay, Jimmy's still going through it. Blah blah blah. To keep myself from sliding down further, I jumped upward as hard as I could. My head bumped into something, but surprisingly, it didn't stop me. I landed next to the toilet. Aside from smelling a little, my body seemed to have changed back to normal. What? After a brief period of shock, I realized that this must have been a blessing from the goddess of fortune. She had given me a place to hide, I guess. If I had entered the apartment, I didn't have much time for anything else. I quickly grabbed a rope I had lying around, and stepped into the toilet one more time, turning into a Lilliputian. I hid in the toilet, and I saw Pi walk into the bathroom. He looked like a giant to me. What the fuck is happening? I could see every fiber on his Pizza Hut uniform, every blonde hair on his arm, and every long eyelash around his eyes. Pi looked around. He even checked the laundry basket. My heart skipped a few beats. Thank God I wasn't hiding in there. Finally, he grabbed the shower curtain with his hand, but he didn't immediately pull it open. It couldn't be. Did he see through my setup? However, the goddess awarded me another blessing. Pi sneezed. Yes, he just sneezed. He involuntarily pulled open the shower curtain and unveiled the trap that I had set up. A huge amount of liquid suddenly ejected from the wall. Pi was pushed backward by the power of the eruption, and then he slipped and fell to the ground. He covered his face with his hands and started screaming in pain. It was not just regular pepper spray. It was my personal invention, filling a fire extinguisher with jalapeno water and pepper spray, and I had named it the Super Awesome Anti-Pi Spray Machine. Damn. Both the power and the stimulation were absolutely top-notch. I jumped back out of the toilet. My body returned to normal once again. Then I picked up the lid of the water tank and smashed it onto his head as hard as I could. What a small world. The officers who came to my apartment were the same ones who had been suspicious of me. The one who had wanted to investigate me even gave me a meaningful look before they left. Of course, they didn't say anything else except to politely thank me for my assistance. And I, of course, politely gave him the finger. After I sent the police away, the next day the news of Pi being captured was everywhere. They even published Pi's family background and history, although no one would know if they were true or not. Whatever the case, I couldn't care any less. Upon my firm insistence, the police agreed to not reveal the truth about Pi had been captured. I did not want to be in the paper once again. The world was full of surprises, but life still went on. I did a thorough cleaning of my apartment. I even cleaned the dust that had been piling up in my computer case for years. Looking at my nice and sparkling clean room, I felt like my mood was finally brightening up too. I stayed inside for a few more days, then I went and visited my parents. I also visited lots of places around Hong Kong. Everywhere I went, I would go and check the bathroom there. I would try to jump in the toilet and then jump back out again. Jimmy. Of course, I only chose the ones that looked clean. Despite still not knowing how it happened that way, I had indeed gained a special power. Furthermore, I had a new hypothesis too. What if a toilet was not connected to the sewer? What if, at the bottom of the toilet, there was simply another opening? Would I be able to stay shrunk and still move around? So he gained the ability to shrink inside a toilet. Ever since I had this thought, I began to often get too excited to fall asleep at night. I would lie on the bed, stare at my collection of Marvel comic books on the shelf, and start fantasizing. Now that I had the superpower, I had special responsibilities as well, right? Ending unlocked. Jimmy accidentally attained his, I guess, superpower. Is that the end? Oh, it's the end for Jimmy. Happy for you. Yeah, I guess he gets his, like... He gets a silly little ending, huh? That's funny. His superpower is shrinking when he gets it when he steps into the toilet. We're actually nearing like the end of their letters, which is crazy to think about. Is this still locked? It's available now. Wait. Oh, this is locked. Oh, because it was spotty. He went into the bathroom and he got startled. Oh. Okay. Swap these. There you go. Now it's available. There was a stack of files in the safe. I flipped through them quickly. They were exactly what I had been looking for. Before I could find out where the lieutenant was being held, I heard somebody walking in my direction. I quickly closed the safe, hid the files under my jacket, and snuck into the bathroom. In the men's bathroom, there was a stall that had a window to the outside. It wasn't too big, but it was enough for an adult like me to climb out. And the back door of the station was not far away from the outside of the window, so I left the station without being seen by anyone, just like that. According to the files, Lieutenant King is being held in Detention Center Number 6. It was one of the special facilities that were used specifically to hold suspects of special interest. I hid the files in the tall grass, not too close to the detention center. Then I walked in the grass. Then I walked up to the entrance empty-handed. I showed the guard my ID and told him that I'd like to see Lieutenant King. Kang Baekya? The guard checked the record book in his hand. No visitation is allowed for this person. Check again. I'm a police officer. I waved my ID again to prove my identity. It doesn't matter. You need special permission to visit him. He shook his head and closed the book. I didn't leave immediately as I tried to think of another way to get in. My forehead started to sweat under the guard's suspicious stare. You wanted to see Kang Baekya? What's your name? A guard over 2 meters tall was standing behind me. I hadn't even noticed him there. He had startled me when he suddenly spoke. I showed him my police ID. It had my name and my unit on it. The tall guard gave me back my ID and nodded at the guard. He then said, "Follow me." As soon as I saw Lieutenant King sit down on the other side of the glass, I immediately picked up the phone on the wall. I had to take this chance to ask him to tell me everything. Lieutenant King held the phone up to his mouth and mumbled something quietly. I could understand that he might be feeling low, but this was not the time. I came here to help him, but I couldn't hear him at all. What was that, Lieutenant? I can't hear you. Lieutenant King leaned forward and got closer to the glass. Despite knowing that his voice could only come through the phone, I couldn't help but lean forward too. Oh, leaning forward to each other, hee. And then he spoke. I was so shocked that I sprung back into my seat and I almost dropped the phone in my hand. I didn't realize that the man sitting right in front of me was Officer Jian. Oh, hold up. So that's crazy. They swap places? Whoa, okay. Then where is he?
Porque siempre me pasa esto.
Oh my gosh. Carlos. Blue lady. I don't have any other letters except for these two. Okay, let's check on Carlos. Days spent in prison could be boring. At noon, while the sun was right in the middle of the sky, Jin and Xiang got into an argument with each other in the yard, yet again. In a couple of minutes, they would start a brawl, and everyone else in the yard, inmates and guards alike, would become spectators. It had turned into a daily routine. I sat under a tree far away from the ruckus. I wore my hat low and put my hands in my pockets, hoping to hide my nervousness from the guards and the other curious inmates. I had been in prison for almost half a month. No! At first, I thought that I might have been arrested for wandering the streets in women's clothing. It was a strange reason to be arrested in Hong Kong, but I simply couldn't think of any other possibilities. Never would I have ever imagined that another possibility could exist. They finally told me that I had been arrested for murder. What? This was beyond ridiculous. In the 10 Commandments of the Catholic Church, the 5th commandment, thou shalt not kill. How could I possibly have committed murder? And the person they accused me of killing, I had never even met him before. Ren used to tell me stories of how gangs would sometimes send some of their own young boys to confess for the crimes of the bosses. But usually they would at least get the story straight first. Why hadn't I heard anything in advance? I tried to send a message outside, hoping to get in touch with Mr. Kwan or any of the other people in the group, but I hadn't heard anything back. Just when I was starting to lose hope, an unexpected visitor came to see me. It was so brave and nice for Yi to visit. Oh yeah, she was wearing a light green cheongsam, even more beautiful than the one I remembered. Her hair hadn't all grown back yet, but she still looked good. Yi told me that after I had saved her from the auction house, she had been worried about me. She'd even sent someone from the Blood Gang back to Pitt Street 99 to ask about me. They found out that I had never been back there ever since. Coincidentally, the man Yi had sent ran into Ren. Ren had been worried about me too, and he also happened to know Yi's man, so Ren went with him to the Blood Gang and told Yi everything he knew. I was arrested by the police on the same day that I helped Yi escape. Mr. Kwan heard from the auction house about what I had done. He was outraged, but before he sent people to come after me, he got a phone call from the secretary of Mr. Lin. In the phone call, he was told that it had been arranged for me to stay in prison. From then on, whatever happened to me should not concern group loyalty anymore. Mr. Kwan and the others didn't know for sure how I had offended the bosses so much. Based on the instructions they heard, they suspected that I wouldn't have much longer to live. Oh, okay. Ren gave Yi all of my personal belongings that I had left with the group, hoping that she could bring them to me when she visited. Yi's finger accidentally touched my phone when she was showing me my things. It lit up. A woman with curly red hair appeared on my screen. One of the Blood Gang memories with us immediately recognized her. What? Do you know my sister? I couldn't contain my excitement and jumped up from the chair. Stay quiet! The guard behind me stepped forward and pushed me back down. Yi unlocked her own phone and turned the screen towards me after a few clicks. I saw a list of people, some without a name but only a photo followed by a string of digits. I read through the list one by one and stopped at the 5th person. She looked so much like my big sis, but her name was labeled Dragon. Huh, that was quite a coincidence. Your sister last contacted you from Hong Kong, right? Well, she's never left. She's now one of the top assassins in the field. There's an $8 million bounty on her head. Dragon is her code name. Jin and Xiang finally started fighting. Cheers erupted around them. All of the other inmates and guards were gathering around them. I snuck into the storage room at the corner of the yard while no one else was watching. I had long noticed this one locker inside the storage room. It was full of random things that had not been claimed in a long time. I opened the locker with one hand and pulled my other hand out of my pocket. I had been holding some tools in my palm, which was completely wet as I had been sweating nervously the whole time. The tools had been brought in by Yi. She had hidden them inside of the toiletries that she gave me. She told me to use these tools to break out of the prison. Let's go, Carlos. Water break. My god. There you go. Okay. Actually, I need another. I need more. Okay. Okay, let's continue. Yi also said that being arranged into going to prison probably had something to do with my sister. Someone might be using me as leverage to blackmail Alicia, or it could be a revenge on her by punishing me. Whichever the case was, I needed to get out of here as soon as possible. Unfortunately, the Black Dragon Gang was in control of this prison, so Yi and the Blood Gang couldn't just break me out of here. Therefore, I had to do that part by myself. Once I was out, the Blood Gang would assist me in any way they could. So, a prison break? Was I capable of something like that? Never mind whether or not the guards would catch me if I tried. My cellmate alone probably ruined the whole thing before I even got started. Nevertheless, I decided to hide the tools well in advance. Even if somebody discovered them here, they wouldn't be able to trace them back to me. As for my sister, I needed more time to think about this new information. Maybe I could find out more while I was still inside. I was just about to close the locker when I heard slow footsteps and wheels rubbing against the ground outside. They were getting closer and closer to the storage room. Crap, please don't be the guards. Oof, I need a breath. I hastily hid inside the locker and closed it. I could still see a little of what was going on outside through the door crack. A blonde man in a prison uniform pushed a cart inside and closed the door. There were a few bags of concrete in the cart. I'd heard that a new prison building was under construction. Lots of inmates were assigned to work on the site. He must be one of them. He started to unload the bags. 1, 2, 3. Another inmate was under the bags. His mouth was gagged and his limbs were tied up. Yeah, that's the small child grown up, huh? that's Pi. I finally recognized both of them. Yup. The blonde one was said to be an infamous serial killer. Everybody called him Pi and had been sentenced to life in prison. The other one that Pi had just dragged out of the cart and tossed into the ground was Kai. He was a serial rapist who had been sentenced to 20 years for over 14 assaults. He was lying there barely conscious. It wasn't unusual for inmates to have a go at each other. However, Kai seemed to have been completely knocked out. Our yard time would be over in half an hour. If they stayed in here too long, it might be too hard to sneak out. If Pi found me hiding in the locker, that might be even worse. Pi put on his gloves. I swallowed nervously. He pinned Kai to the ground and choked his neck, until Kai eventually stopped moving completely, and opened the locker. Whoops, he noticed me. Pi grabbed me by the collar and dragged me out of the locker, then chopped me on the neck with his bare hand. Unimaginable pain traveled from my neck to my head, and I could feel my brain being cut off from the rest of my body before I blacked out. When I woke up, I found myself stuffed inside a bulk bag. Oh dear, everything below my chest had been submerged in concrete which had not completely hardened, but the pressure on my chest was making it almost impossible to breathe. To stop me from making any sounds, he had also sealed my lips with a piece of cloth soaked with concrete. Pi, he's innocent! I rocked my body as hard as I could and fell to the ground, then I saw another bag which had been filled with solid concrete right before my eyes. The weird shape of the bag convinced me that Kai must be inside it. It was late at night. Pi would probably come back early in the morning and finish the job. Then we would throw these two bags with our bodies and them into the foundation of the new building and pour some more concrete over both of our concrete coffins. No one would ever know. I had nothing to do with this. I was just here to hide something. How did I end up like this? Cross. Wrong place, wrong time, bro. Listen, Pi is wrong for targeting Jimmy, obviously, but, like, you know, he's going after all the rapists, so I don't know what to say. I don't know how to feel about that. What if we come out of the locker? Whoops. Pi was still focused on Kai and paid no attention to this person who had just jumped out of the locker. I heard that Pi was mentally ill, but his diagnosis had come back normal. Some people said the diagnosis must have been forged, as there were plenty of people who hated him and wanted him to be sent to prison. Nevertheless, seeing the twisted expression on his face right now, I was certain that the normal diagnosis must have been fake. In any case, as long as he hadn't noticed me, I figured that I should just sneak out. I inched towards the door slowly and steadily, then I turned around very carefully. When I was only 2 steps away from the door, I felt a breeze on the back of my neck, and then my body stopped responding to anything. Okay, so the same thing happens. Oops. Pi had come over with another bucket of concrete. He saw that I was awake, but didn't even bother to knock me out. He just poured the concrete into the bag. I wished that he would just punch me instead. The concrete had gone over my nose. I couldn't breathe anymore. I was seeing all kinds of hallucinations and hearing all kinds of noises. Maybe I should have talked to him instead of trying to sneak out. Maybe he would like me better then and let me live. I felt so pathetic dying like this. I must have committed too many sins to end up like this. Sister, where are you? I miss you so much. So we're gonna reason with the serial killer? Is this the same thing? Oh, it's a little different. Oh, the music's changed. I made up my mind and came out of the locker. Kai looked surprised when he saw me, but he soon passed out because of the pain. Hey, don't you think that he suffered enough? He'll be 60 by the time he can get out. He'll die alone for sure. I'm certain he will regret what he did in his youth. Killing him now is actually showing him mercy, right? You don't really have to do this. I inched closer to the door as I was speaking. I needed to stay as far away from this lunatic as I could. I didn't really have any sympathy for Kai. I heard that he had even raped some 50-year-old woman. By that count, he might still hurt people even if he was released at 60. Honestly, yeah. Pai seemed to be pondering my words. Who knew that lunatics could think too? When I was only 2 steps away from the door, he spoke. You make a good point, but I still think he should suffer a little more. What he did next paralyzed me. I just stood there completely stunned, watching Pai perform an unbelievable operation on Kai. He made sure that Kai would never be able to assault anyone ever again. Kai was eventually sent into the medical office of the prison. Both Pai and I were brought to the warden's office later. I suspected Kai had said something to the guards. However, everyone knew that Pai was a tough character, so neither the inmates nor the guards dared to mess with him. They were all afraid that Pai would one day mysteriously murder them. Therefore, he got out of trouble scot-free. The same thing couldn't be said for me. Bro, I was soon transferred to a solitary cell with higher security. Breaking out of prison was looking more and more unlikely. Damn, okay. Swap. I'm just swapping things here and there. Okay. I looked at the unconscious Kai, hoping that he was still alive. Hey, don't you think that he's suffered enough? He'll be 60 by the time he can get out, and he will die alone for sure. I'm certain he will regret what he did in his youth. Oh wait, he's passed out this time, so it's fine. Blah blah blah. Make a good point, and then he cuts off his private part. Oh yeah. Watching Pai take my brand new dagger out of the locker and use it to cut off Kai's private part. Okay, well now I wouldn't want to use the knife anymore. He then rubbed some concrete on his wound. Next he covered Kai's severed private part with the concrete and stuffed it into Kai's hands. Kai was still unconscious the whole time. This is something that a normal person would never witness their whole life. I was in such shock that I completely forgot about escaping. After he was done, Pai asked me what I had been doing in the locker while cleaning up the blood on the floor. I still couldn't move, and I dared not lie to the psycho in front of me. I told him everything. He finished his cleaning, walked up to me, and put one arm around my shoulder. The cloth in his right hand, soaked with Kai's blood, even brushed against my face. A prison break. Sounds like fun. Count me in. That's unfortunate. Sorry, Carlos. I would be very terrified if I were in his situation. But on the bright side, honestly, he found himself a very useful ally. A dangerous one. But, you know, with Pai's help, he'll definitely be able to get out. The wind was getting stronger when I left the detention center. Everyone on the street was walking very fast, probably anxious to get home. I held on tightly to a piece of paper in my hand so that I wouldn't get blown away. Earlier, I had written down a short note in a hurry. Blue Lady, Jigo Wanyam. That was the message Officer G had told me. I hadn't expected that she would be the one that was being detained in place of Lieutenant King. Maybe transfiguration was not as complicated as I had thought. Then again, where was Lieutenant King? I was hoping to see him. That plan hadn't worked either, and now this note was the only lead I had. I had to go to Blue Lady, find this person named Jigo Wanyam. Blue Lady was an infamous gay... Oh my god, the gay bar! It's coming back! Blue Lady was an infamous gay bar in Busan. For police and gangs in particular, it was infamous because it was an establishment that belonged to the Wangman gang. I sat down at the bar and ordered a glass of orange juice. I checked my surroundings. Quite a few people seemed to be giving me strange looks, and they were whispering something under their breath. I didn't quite fit in at a place like this. Whatever, I had real business to worry about. Speaking of business, who was this Jigo Wanyam? Was he a frequent customer? Or the owner of the place? I waved the bartender over, hoping to ask him about this name. But before I opened my mouth, I suddenly felt a heavy blow to my head and my face slammed into the bar. After who knows how long, I heard some slapping noises and felt pain in my face. I finally opened my eyes. Judging from the lights outside the window, I must be on the second floor of the bar. I could see office desks, couches, folding chairs, tables, and pool tables in the room. There was even a coconut tree? I tried to sit up, but I realized that my left hand had been cuffed to a desk leg. Some young men surrounded me at the wall. They all looked like they were in a gang. One of them had a full head of curly hair, and he was crouched next to me. He kept slapping me in the face so it felt like a card. I struggled to move my face away before I saw that he was holding my police ID. Who knew that a police officer would be hanging out here? If you don't tell us what you're really here for, we're going to think that you're here looking for some fun. His buddies all laughed. This didn't look good, but I didn't want to cause too much trouble. I just needed to get out of this as soon as possible. The curly-haired man kicked me in the stomach. Talk. Do you think that we, the Bungman gang, are an easier target than the Musang gang? If we want, we guarantee we'll make you feel something. Well, ecstatic. Okay. Dude, that's the wrong word. It should be excruciating. A man nearby with split bangs tried to correct the curly-haired guy, who immediately slapped him on the head instead. The door opened. All of the men who were laughing hysterically took one glance at the door and immediately stood up straight, shouting, "Good evening, sir." A very tall man had just walked into the room. He was wearing a pink, flowery shirt and a pair of leafy green beach shorts and looked incredibly tropical. He quickly noticed what had been going on. What do you guys have here? It's a cop sneaking around the bar. We were just about to question him. The curly-haired guy very formally handed in my police ID. Okay, I need to breathe. I'm out of breath. The other guys picked me back up and then slammed me face down onto the desk. The man called sir then caressed my back with one hand. Very fit, lots of potential. Potential? What potential? Was he talking about joining their business? What kind of sick joke was that? I was someone who had dreamt of defending justice and becoming a real hero. But to keep myself from getting into more trouble, I had to keep it under control. However, even though I could control my anger, I couldn't fully control my body. If he didn't stop soon, I was going to let out a loud fart. Excuse me? Excuse me? Way to ruin the mood. I remember seeing a diagram of a human brain way back when. They would write lots of words in the brain representing what the person was thinking at the time. If someone were to draw a diagram of my brain right now, it would be filled with the word fart. Even worse, I might be running out of space. After giving me another pinch on my butt, the man finally stopped molesting me. Oh, I didn't know you were here looking for me? I turned around and I saw he was holding the note I had put in my pocket. I finally understood. The sir in front of me was Jago Wanyam, the boss of this bar. But I never would have imagined him to be a bona fide gangster and the leader of the Simsu group within the Bongman gang. Why would Officer Jian ask me to come and find him? You're a Kang Vegas man, what do you want from me? I caught the ID that he had thrown back at me. The ID only said that I was in Unit 4 of the Busan Police Precinct. So he must know about Lieutenant Kang. I still couldn't figure out what their relationship was. Oh, he's the gay bestie that Lieutenant Kang mentioned. Friends or foes? Or maybe he was Lieutenant Kang's informant? In any case, since Officer Jian had asked me to find him, he must be someone who can help. I briefly explained the reason for my visit, and I mentioned that Officer Minjin had been murdered. Although I withheld most of the details about Lieutenant Kang's situation, I was thinking that I should at least feel him out first. He just chuckled and lit a cigarette. Kid, are you trying to hold something back? You're 10 years too young to play this game with me. Let me put it this way. I'm an information broker. If you want information from me, you need to trade something. It's that simple, understand? He blew smoke in my face, smiling, and held my left hand steady. His left hand, I took out the tail that I hid in my right palm, and reached for the pocket on my shirt. I bit my lip and said, fine, how about this? I handed him my weapon and pulled out a small notepad from my pocket. It had all of the trivial information I had collected during all of my cases since joining the force. Most of the information was about the Musan gang, although there were some about the Bongman gang too. There's nothing particularly important or classified, otherwise I wouldn't be carrying it on me like this. Since he had mentioned trade, he must be with something like this then. Something like this then? Blech, okay. I need more water, oh my god. Okay. I supposed I wouldn't be able to buy it with money. He took my notepad, flipped through it quickly, and tossed it into the trash can. Then he made a gesture. The men who had been watching us in the room the whole time immediately surrounded me. Then they started to mercilessly beat me up. Jago Wanyam stood outside of the circle and gently said, "Young man, you are not cut out to be a policeman, and you are definitely not cut out to be Bacon's man. If you ever dare show your face on my turf again, you will be dead." After those words, they tossed me out from the second floor window. God damn! I fell into the garbage container in the back alley. It hurt so bad that I couldn't move for a while. The night was freezing cold. I was so stupid to make such a careless move. What exactly did he want, though? Your ass, maybe? I don't know. Hold on. Wait. I need to, like, read this again. Blah, 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 blah. You need to trade something. It's that simple. Wakaranai. I don't get it. There's only 3 endings. Oh, okay, this is something. A beam of silver light flashed in the air, and my little left middle finger flew off from my... Oh, he attacked him. Blood was dripping out of the wound and left some red dots on the floor. I covered my entire left hand with my right one and dropped to the ground, rolling in pain. Ah. Wait, what happened? It's yours. Fuck you. And I fainted. Call a doctor. No, you idiot. Not Dr. Chang. Dr. Wang, the one who lives at Gangnam-Gyeongdong. I heard Jacob Rainer yelling at his men and opened my eyes just a little bit to take a peek at what was happening. He threw away the cigarette in his hand and carried me onto a couch. His men were in complete disarray after being shouted at by their boss. I had made the right call. If this man were a true friend of Lieutenant King, then he must value loyalty and bravery. If all he cared about was profit and benefit, then even if he had seen through my performance, I would at most get a beating. Then I could still give him what he had wanted to trade for the information. Nevertheless, this is the best result I could hope for. Oh, I got lucky. I finally burst out laughing and sat back up on the couch with a hand holding my stomach. Then I stood up as Jacob looked on, stunned, and picked up the severed finger from the ground with my oh my god! And picked up the severed finger from the ground with my perfectly intact left hand. Smiling at me. Wait, huh? I bought the fake finger in a small shop on my way here. He bought a fake finger? Not only did you anticipate this? Not only did they have fake fingers, there were also fake ears, eyes, and everything. The owner had said to me that if he wanted to survive in a gang, these were all necessities, and if I bought the whole set, he could give me a discount. So I did, and I had hidden them all on me. It turned out they were indeed quite valuable. You bastard! Jigo Wanyam fell into the couch laughing hysterically. Well, I guess Baker had pegged you wrong completely. He told me you were just a serious and boring fool. He told his men to make us some tea and then began to tell me everything he knew about this case. 2 hours later, I drank the last cup of tea and left Blue Lady. I started walking towards Officer Minjun's home in the cold biting wind. Okay, lit, I guess. There's another ending if I want to try to get it, you know? I'm just curious what the other... Let me just, like, fuck around a bit. I want to know what it is. Oh, okay. I don't know what this is. Oh, he caught him. Oops, that's definitely not it. Oh, the people in the game. I will, blah, blah, blah. That was definitely stupid. You're exactly what he said. Like what he said. What a shame. Brave but stupid. Tell you what, we'll take care of this case. As for you, you should consider staying here and helping us out. I could use someone like you. Lieutenant King had fled to another country and it was fine. He even set up a video chat with Lieutenant King showing me that he was indeed safe. Okay, so bad ending. Oh, and he resigned. And he became a bartender. Become a bartender. So that's the secret. That's funny. Okay, well, alright. That's crazy. He just gets depressed because he's a loser didn't do anything. Alrighty. Alright. Let's see. I think I'm gonna end it for now because it's been an hour. An ace. Key fob. I'm gonna say lead key fob. Alright. I am going to save and we're gonna end stream for now. I completely forgot that the first episode of the Summer Hikaru Died anime came out, so I will be dedicating my last few minutes before midnight to watching BL. I would highly recommend it. The manga is very good, and what I've seen of the trailer for Summer Hikaru Died looked so good that I'm really excited for it. So I have to go watch it. Let me look at this. I don't think there's any other branching paths. It's kind of interesting how they kind of showed us that in order to continue Lee Won's path, you have to pick the bad ending. In this case, with Alicia, you just get a bad ending, and then you have to choose another one. But I picked correctly, and she became an assassin. What is this anyway? I really race. I don't think this is a split path. I think it's just connecting, because it extends from the center. There's no other split paths in here. I think I just have to continue the story. Okay, what happened to this guy? Blah 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 blah. Oh, he like beat up a cop or something. Okay, well, we're gonna end stream now. I saved, right? Let me just make sure. Main menu. Oops. Whoops. Whoops. Where's OBS? Okay, I will try to stream around nighttime, like usually. It's gonna be very late because I work late. So, estimate 10 to 11 p.m. PST. But there's a chance that I might be too tired and not stream, so unconfirmed, but maybe. I will try. I don't think I'm gonna continue the next stream, just to take a break from it. I think next time I'll play another like demo VN, one that's short that I can do in one sitting. So that's what'll happen next time. And then we'll probably come back and continue this, because I think I'm getting near the ending. Oh yeah, hold on. I remember, whoops, back. There's actually a list of achievements here. And I'm missing some achievements. I don't think I'm gonna bother getting everything. Like, for example, say goodbye to their high school days with one last barbecue. The Dark Truth. Win the card game, which I don't even know what card game that is. The Keen Tracker. Make a sacrifice. Remember why he wanted to become a policeman. Also, the hidden plot in the locker room is one of the achievements, which is the yaoi ending. Also, I think I'm gonna hold off on trying anything because there's more of Wen Xiaoren's letters coming up. But this looks like this is the Lei Wen and her teacher's ending. But I'm not sure because it says ending unlocked, Mr. Wen disappeared. Ending unlocked, Mr. Wen died of illness. So I want to know what this ending is. Like what? Oh my god. Now actually, hold on, out of curiosity. You know how I gave the cancer to this guy? Troubles in the middle of summer, life is like a box of chocolate milk. Is this when she gets sick? Huh? I don't think it was this one. Is this the same thing? Oh, this is the yogurt here. Hold on. Wait, there's all these endlings. Wouldn't it be better to make it so that she doesn't get sick from that, you know? But nothing happens. Like, do you see this shit? I kind of want to be like, let's not let my girl get cancer. But then nothing happens if I do that and everything's fucking locked. Alright. What about this one? The final goodbye. there's only 2 fucking options though. And if I pick this, there's no other option. Because I guess she died. Well, I guess we'll find out. Oh well. Alright, I was just curious. For real, we're ending stream. And I'm gonna go watch my yaoi. Alright. Okay, goodbye. Until next time. Bye-bye.